Nigeria has remained of great interest to the United States, especially because of its strategic importance in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, how will this translate to not only in solidifying the relations between both countries, but also in seeing more viable and vibrant show of interest, particularly from the United States? I'm being joined now on the News at 10 by Professor Banji Fajoyomi, and he'll be discussing the visit by President Muhammadu Buhari to the United States. Professor, you're welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you. Good evening.
Let's just begin with your thoughts on the visit. I mean, we heard Ambassador Ojako telling us, outlining, the purpose, what would be benefited from, this meeting. Let's start with your thoughts on the visit.
Which of them?
President Buhari's visit to the White House.
No, I think as outlined by the ambassador, actually they might be discussing things like security. But let's look at the issues that are going to come to play. I think first of all, America is an important partner in securing the globe. However, I think America now is a little bit careful in putting its boots on ground in war-torn countries. I think Nigeria should also have that one at the back of their mind. It's good that the president is going to visit, but I think the action that Nigerians actually expect will not be automatic as one would think. By the time this meeting is over, one would expect that certain agreements are going to be reached and certain maybe committees or action committees are going to be put in place. And I'm assuring you, it's not a thing that's going to come to pass in the next 2 to 3 months. And I think that's why maybe some Nigerians are a little bit worried that, maybe the president ought to have stayed a little bit here and studied the situation before even moving out to the US to meet President Obama. So I think most of these things that they are going to discuss is good. However, we also have to be very careful that it might take a long time before they begin to implement them.
Would that also include the recovery of stolen funds?
Most of these things, they have legal backings. I understand maybe in the high-level discussions that are going to take place, the Secretary of Justice, Attorney General of the United States, is also going to meet certain people from Nigeria, maybe to look at the legal implications of even finding that money and legal implications of transferring them out of the United States. If you look at those ones that were found in Swiss banks, we actually didn't get them. Some took almost 13, 14, 15 years before they could be repatriated back to Nigeria. So I think most of the things we actually want are just this rapid action and not the ones that we have to go through diplomatic. But I know it's good we're starting to relate again, like it used to be. But we should not expect a quick action like Nigerians are waiting for.
And of course, one topic that Nigerians, I think, will also be concerned about, of course, is security, which has already been explained by Ambassador Ojako, but also the economy. The U.S. claims that we are the #1 partner in Africa, but we did see last year the U.S. turning its back on our oil and instead going for shale oil.
And up to now, they're still not buying oil from us.
Right.
If you remember, they told us that as at maybe last week, about 7 cargoes were even there, and nobody's ready to buy from Nigeria. I think most of these economic opportunities also, Nigeria must negotiate well as a country. Because the benefits of exporting, what do we want to export? What are we going to gain from what we are exporting? If we are not very good in actually preparing our industries to export, they cannot export. Even if America opens its borders, most of these things are also regulated. And I know they can assist us economically. America will not be the one to assist us on how to put industries in place. America will not assist us on how to let electricity work. America will not assist us on paying people well to make them work well. Most of these things also have international standards by ILO on what to pay people that are working. When people are not paid appropriate salaries, there's no way to go to work well. So I think most of these things, economically, we have more than 90% of the job to be done in Nigeria. When we put our house in order, I think that's when we can now reach out to discuss with people. If not, what we're going to get is dumping, whereby we reach agreements and Americans end up dumping their goods in Nigeria. I think we should also look at what are we taking along with us. Are we taking no light? Are we taking strikes? Are we taking no fuel? Are we going to increase or improve on our operating environment, business operating environment? Are we going to start one-stop registration for aliens that actually want to introduce industry in Nigeria? You know, it's those things that we encourage. American government cannot force Americans to invest in Nigeria. I always wonder, why will America go to Indonesia? Why would they go to some of these farther countries where they travel for about 19, 24 hours and they abandon Nigeria? It's just because the operating environment is very okay. So I want maybe the government to put everything in order first before we begin to reach out to people that are going to invest there. If not, we risk receiving handouts in terms of food, in terms of electronics, in terms of gadgets that actually we can produce in Nigeria. I think that's just my fear as far as that one is also concerned.
Professor Fajoyomi, you've thrown more light on this topic. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
It's my pleasure.
Professor Banji Fajoyomi. Now, the Department of State Security has been explaining its actions in the several hours on siege laid on the homes of the former National Security Advisor, retired Colonel Sambo Dasuki, on July 16th. The service in the statement says that the operation on the day which warranted the agency to embark on a search of the property was based on credible intelligence linking Colonel Dasuki with an alleged plan to commit treasonable felony against the Nigerian state. Colonel Dasuki is said to have resisted the operations by the DSS by using military operatives guarding his home. He prevented the officers from getting in even after they presented a duly signed search warrant. The DSS explains that the delay in getting into the former NSA's home stretched the operations from what should have taken about 2 hours to more than 10 hours. After the search, the DSS claims it found 7 high-caliber rifles, several magazines and military-related gear. The DSS team says it recovered 12 new vehicles, of which 5 were bulletproof. The vehicles, according to them, were all exotic, and the former NSA failed to produce evidence of ownership for those vehicles. The DSS states that the service would want to say that this search operation is not a witch hunt, and that's because they say that the service decided to move at this time in line with the current management's resolve to be proactive and preempt individuals with a penchant for impunity and lawlessness from pulling the nation back to the dark days. In the meantime, the ex-chief security officer to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Gordon Obua, is still being detained by the Department of State Security Services. Obua has been in detention since Thursday, July 16th, and is alleged to have spent security funds as well as funds for oil. But Obua's lawyer, Mr. Onochie Onwebina, has accused the DSS and federal government of witch hunt, calling it an attempt to nail individuals who served under former President Goodluck Jonathan, and also demanded the immediate release of Mr. Obua. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured that the governorship election holding in Kogi and Bayelsa states 3 months from now will be free and fair. The acting INEC chairman, Amina Zakari, told our correspondent in Abuja that everything has been put in place to ensure a hitch-free exercise. The acting chairman also commented on the controversy surrounding her appointment.
Well, I think we should not detract ourselves from the issues at hand. I have been in the commission. I'm a national commissioner. I passed through the Senate screening to become a national commissioner. And by virtue of that, I'm appointed acting chairman in the commission. So there shouldn't have been much controversy. But be it as it may, I have a job to do, and I'm set out to do that job. For me, I did not appoint myself, and I would like to think it's not about who you are or who you know. It's about what you can do. And I think my records are there to speak for themselves. I've been a special advisor to assistant to Mr. President Obasanjo, and was posted to the FCT as a Secretary for Health, Agriculture and Social Sciences, and he was a PDP president. And I was appointed by President Jonathan, who was also a PDP president, and I've worked diligently through the years. So I think it's about what I can do, and I think people should watch out for what I can do rather than think of who I am or who I know. If we could remember 2010, when Professor Iwu left INEC, there was a vacuum, and the presidency of that time appointed Prince Shoibi to act as a national chairman, pending when a substantive commission was put in place. And it's that same Shoibi that handed over to Professor Jiga. So I don't know about due process in this matter. The presidency has had the prerogative of appointing an acting chairman, and I think that might have informed my appointment as an acting chairman.
Let's look at the forthcoming elections, the Kogi and Bayelsa elections. So how prepared is INEC for these two elections?
Well, INEC is used to holding, we do our by-elections within a month of the time of with the time we get information from the National Assembly if there's a vacancy. But this is about 3 months, 4 months, I think we'll be adequately prepared. And you should remember we just came out from a national election. We have already made some purchases of non-sensitive materials. So what is remaining for us is to put our acts together, do our processes, do a timeline of all our processes, and we should be able to deliver on the elections as planned.
Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo today asked Nigerians to show more patriotism in their daily actions and shun regional politics. Chief Obasanjo said this today in Abeokuta when family members of a prominent Southwest politician in the defunct Western region paid him a visit at his Otta home.
Today, we are still struggling to reach the pinnacle, or if you like, the pedestal that Adelabu reached in politics, of not being swayed by linguistic, ethnic, tribal, regional, sectional consideration, but by what is best for Nigeria. He was years ahead of his contemporary politicians.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Anambra PDP on warpath. Find out how and why. Do stay with us.